Your Steve Jones Show podcast will start shortly. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Brewers Outlet, your beverage supermarket on Reagan Street in Sunbury.
I am very pleased to be joined by the legendary voice of the Steelers and the Pitt Panthers, the Hall of Famer, Bill Hillgrove. Bill, welcome. Great to have you with us.
Steve, thank you. I appreciate that intro, and I'll send the check in the morning.
You got it. Anytime. You know how to make announcements with a PH. Bill, obviously there'll be a lot of intrigue with the opener. Do you find more intrigue with openers now in the NFL because guys don't play a lot in the preseason?
Well, we have one less game, and I understand Tony Dungy last night said that the second quarter of the Rams-Bills game looked like there were people with fatigue, and he said, and he goes old school, they should play more starters. Now, in all fairness to everybody, when Tony played and coached, the cap wasn't as meaningful as it is now. And, you know, those coaches are so afraid to get people hurt that they don't really play them much in the preseason, and now we're down to 3 games. You really don't know what you have. And, you know, a lot of people still base their judgment of a team's ability going into the regular season on what they did in the preseason. I think it's impossible. I feel good about the Steelers team. The defense is going to be pretty strong. And B, I think the offense will be functional. And if you're in every game, then you have a chance to win games. And that's the point. You know, you don't get blown out.
Kenny Pickett, to his credit, as did Mason Rudolph, both had good preseasons. When you looked at Mitchell Trubisky, 71%, no turnovers, what did you think of him?
He's a very good quarterback. He has NFL experience. He's seen the game, and he's seen it at full speed, something that Kenny hasn't seen. And when people say, well, you know, and I heard callers on the post-game talk show say, well, are these coaches blind? Don't they know that Kenny Pickett's their man? And I'm going, whoa. Hey, history lesson, 2004. Tommy Maddox gets hurt. Ben Roethlisberger's on the field only because Charlie Batch is hurt, and so is Brian St. Pierre. If they are healthy, either one of them, Ben never makes the field and doesn't go 15-1. And, you know, I think that's a history lesson. I think coaches value experience, especially for quarterbacks. They value the number of snaps that you've had, and Kenny hasn't had that many. So, you know, let's just worry about Kenny down the line and just rally around Mitch Trubisky and hope that he's functional enough to score enough points to keep them in games.
I mean, Bill, you and I both know that because we've been around coaches so often, it's about trust. And it's not that they don't trust Kenny Pickett, but at least Mitch has a resume that at the moment they trust more. Is that fair?
Yes. And the fact that he's been there and done it when everything's at game speed, including the communication, and a lot of people overlook that part of it, you know, he's not going to get overwhelmed. And I think that's what can happen to a rookie quarterback, no matter how talented. When that game happens that fast and the communication is that instant, hey, you know, you could panic and hurt the team. So, yeah, that trust is something that they have to earn, and coaches look at it pretty much the same way, all of them.
You know, it's interesting. They made a couple of nice, I think, nice acquisitions on defense late in the training camp process. T.J. Watt's a given. Other guys are a given. What do you think those additions can mean to shore that group up and make a difference in games?
Well, look at who they brought in. They all have NFL experience. Malik Reed is an addition, but I think going into camp, we all knew that Miles Jack would bring them something at that inside backer position that we lacked last year. And everybody talks about the injury to Alu and the unavailability of Stephon Tuitt. They missed Vince Williams. They missed that bumper in the middle, and I think they found one in Miles Jack. So let's just see how it plays out. Again, you're judging Miles Jack by his preseason performance. Nothing special. But, you know what he can do in the regular season, and that counts more.
He's a pro's pro who can play both pass and run. I think everybody gives him a little bit of chance. They're going to see that, Bill. You and I both know that. The game, it goes to 17 games last year, right? Boy, it felt like a long season. You sat there for all of them. Did that extra game make it feel like a longer season?
It certainly did. That extra game seemed like 3 games. It's just the nature of the beast. You get into that rhythm of 16 games. Heck, I remember when it was 14. Of course, I go back to when the Dead Sea wasn't even sick. But
that's okay.
It's a big adjustment for everybody.
Well, just so you know, I attempted to fish in the Dead Sea. All right, so, but see, my point on this is, and this is the part people don't take into account, it creates an attrition rate in the league. And it's almost like who can survive the attrition rate. How do you feel about that?
Well, I've said it, and I think history backs me up. The 2 teams left standing to play in the Super Bowl are generally the healthiest teams at the end of the year.
Exactly.
And or the teams that are getting better, as time goes on. But I think health plays too much of a role, but that's the nature of the beast. It's not like a college roster where you have 65 guys going on the road. You have to, play with 43. That's a big drop-off. And so attrition is even more pronounced in the NFL.
Pitt has one of the big games of the weekend. They've got Tennessee. It was a big win for Pitt last year going to Knoxville. How do you feel about that team after that really terrific win in the backyard brawl?
Well, they have a lot of things to work on, including run defense, and that was the most disturbing, although I think the coaching staff pinpointed the play of the outside backers, and I think this week against the Vols, you'll see them rotate those guys, and last week they kind of kept the 2 new guys on the field probably too long. So that'll be something to keep your eye on. What concerns Pitt? Hendon Hooker. I think 37 TDs and 2 interceptions in his career starts. That stands out. And he will be a handful. But I think Pitt's defense is good enough and quick enough and, I think relentless enough to put a lot of pressure on him, probably pressure that he hasn't seen for a while.
What kind of first impression did Keaton Slovis make on you, Bill?
He functioned. He moved the team. He made throws when he had to. He took a couple of bad sacks, and I think, that'll be addressed. But I really think that the guy is somebody that they can rally around and win games.
Agreed. Bill, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for doing this. I know you had to get us in there. We appreciate that more than you know.
Hey, I appreciate it, and get back to me mid-season, and maybe all the things I said have been false.
Gee, funny, if I were to tell you the same thing about Penn State, I may have said the same sentence.
All right, Steve, great to talk to you.